Hello, and welcome back to an Emo Girl's Guide to the Galaxy. This is a safe space for readers, weebs, emos, and everyone in between. So if you love sarcasm and hate the patriarchy, then you've come to the right place.
Hey everyone, it's Devin. We're gonna start things off with what we've been up to. I have some really exciting.
I feel like you keep having all of the really cool updates, and I'm like, I'm here.
I'm existing.
I'm vibing.
I feel like I went through like a really big slump of, oh no, I'm losing Instagram followers.
Yeah, nothing.
Oh no, my engagement sucks. Like, what do? I have imposter syndrome, and now I'm kind of like
redemption
picking it back up. Yeah, I'm like, okay, lucky girl life, like validation.
Lucky girl life.
But I got an email a few weeks ago from one of the founders of Blue Box Press, which is the pub that does the Blood and Ash series by Jennifer Armentrout. And they're like, hey, can you send us your email? Or they sent me an Instagram message. And they're like, hey, can you send us your email? We want to share some news with you. So I sent them my email, and she asked if I wanted an early copy of the next Blood and Ash book, which is, I forget what the name of it is. A Soul of Ash and Blood.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So I got that early copy, and I think I mentioned it a few episodes ago. Yeah, and she also was like, oh, we're going to be sending out PR boxes if you want one of those, like, let me know. And I was like, yeah, duh. I do, like, please. So I just got that in the mail a few days ago, and I'm excited. I need to, like, unbox it and record all of my cool reactions to whatever is in there, but I'm super excited to open that up because I'm obsessed with this series. And I'm, like, 50-ish, 60% of the way through, and I'm enjoying reading it from the main dude's perspective.
I'm so excited.
So no spoilers.
I want so badly just to skip to that because I want to read it from his POV, but I can't.
You can't. You cannot at all because it'll spoil stuff that happens to Poppy in the series.
There's so many books to read, though, before.
Yeah. Also, I would just like to point out that I genuinely want to say that JLA and her team, like, for keeping track of all of those different timelines and everything that's going on,
yeah.
Like, that's insane. Like, yeah, it's not, like, Sarah J. Maas level or Cassandra Clare level, but considering that Jennifer Armentrout was mostly an indie author until her more popular books picked up, and, like, her YA books are the ones that were, like, traditionally published up until now, I think she's doing a great job of being like, this happened all of these years ago, and this is happening now, and look at how all of this stuff converges into one. I'm, like, very impressed with how they're keeping track of all of these things. Like, is some of it lazy writing and having, like, all of the names sound similar or, like, spelled, like, one letter off and being completely different? Maybe, but, like, I don't care. I'm enjoying it. I'm obsessed with this series. So.
Also, she has like 15 other series happening at the same time, it feels like. So, I don't know. I think it's really impressive that she can churn out as many books as she does. Like, what?
Yeah. Yep.
It's
and
crazy.
I've learned so much about her and her life, too, because I went through a JLA
You
phase.
did. You went through, like...
an autumn of Armentrout, I think I called it, and I read so
most
many of
her
books.
Catalog.
Yeah, and she has, like, a degenerative eye disease that, like...
I didn't know that.
...is slowly eating away at her vision, and so doctors don't know when exactly it'll happen or if it'll happen, but there's a chance that she can go, like, completely blind at some point.
Oh my god, I had
so,
no
like,
idea.
Yeah, and so if you read one of... I forget the series. It's the spin-off of The Dark Elements.
Oh, yeah.
The Harbinger series.
Mm-hmm.
The main character has the same rare, like, eye disease that she has.
Oh my god.
And she, in her notes or in her dedication or whatever it is, she has a section talking about it. And so I always thought that was really interesting, and, like, the fact that she's still writing, even though knowing, like, her eyesight could be affected by the fact that she stares at screens all day or whatever it might be.
I wonder if that's part of it, too. Like, she rushes to put out so many books because she's like, I don't know how long I have left.
Yeah. Anyway, I think this would be a good episode. Maybe we have, like, an episode of authors to read, and it's JLA, and we talk about all of the series that we've read.
We totally need a JLA episode because...
Even though she's popular, I feel like she has a ton of stuff that people don't know about, like Alien Twilight.
Oh my god. Those books. Oh, that's for another episode, though.
Yes, we'll get on that. I feel like people would enjoy us talking about JLA because we're complete trash.
We are complete trash. And I'm not ashamed
but
of it.
Anyway, what are you up to?
You know what? I'm here for the vibes.
You're just vibing with
not
life.
Not much has changed since last week, but what have I been doing? I've started reading the Dark Elements. The first one's called White Hot Kiss.
Yeah.
I started reading it
for this episode.
I was going to say, I started reading it for this episode, and I'm like 70% done. I'm very into it. I love it a lot. I got distracted because I realized that I was behind on our book club book of the month, so I started reading that, Curse of Saints by Kate Dramis, and it's really good. I'm like 10 chapters in. I'm not very far. Because the chapters are short, so... That's not very much of the book.
I love short chapters.
I know, it makes me feel like I'm reading a lot, and I'm not. But it's super good. It's very like Throne of Glass meets like, I don't know. The main guy reminds me a lot of Rysand with his powers and like his sassiness and stuff. But it's very Throne of Glass, and I don't know. I'm really into it. I like the vibes.
All right, I need to catch up too. This is me saying...
Yeah, you need to get on the Fable app because I'm just like screaming into the void alone in there.
Which is a good segue into, if you haven't followed us on Fable yet,
please take pity on me and actually talk to me.
Join our book club, come talk to us, come read this book with us because...
It is very good. I also didn't realize we got our Curse of Saints books from Fairy Loot last month, and I didn't realize that the US version of the book is coming out tomorrow, which is July 11th. So people can't even read it yet, probably. I don't know. I mean, they will be soon, but anyway, I was like, oops. Whatever.
Well, you can still read it with us. It comes out tomorrow.
You have the rest of the month.
I guess not tomorrow when this
it will have been
live,
out for a few days by the time this gets published.
Yes. Also, is Fairy Loot a UK company? It is, right? That's why we got it. We got like the UK edition.
I think
don't even
so.
know.
I kind of forget that because
me too.
In the US, I don't know. I'm confused.
I know. I'm spoiled. I'm like, whatever. We have it. Everyone must have it. My bad.
I know. I did too. Whatever. For all of you in the future, it's a good book. So anyway, and then I read the first My Happy Marriage manga, and then 4 hours later, I had read all 3 volumes, and I'm obsessed with it now. And I watched the first anime episode, and that happened. I love it.
I need to get on the hype train.
Please do. It's so good. Yeah. And I'm kind of dying because now I have to wait until September, I think, for the 4th one. Yeah. I'm like, that's so far away. The synopsis is this girl, Mio, is born. It's very like Cinderella-y. This girl, Mio, her mom dies, and then her dad remarried. Well, okay. Her parents had an arranged marriage, so the dad had a girlfriend or whatever before he got married, but then he was forced into a marriage that he didn't want. So, and then they had Mio, and then Mio's mom dies. And so the dad is like, now's my chance. So he marries the girl that he was with before, and then she ends up being a complete bitch. And her and Mio's dad have a daughter named Kaya. And it's very like Cinderella, and they make her do all the chores and stuff around the house, and they're complete bitches to her. And Mio has this guy friend who's really nice to her, and she's like, oh, I hope we can be together, and he would be nice to be with someone who doesn't hate me. And then the dad's like, oh, I'm going to make him marry Kaya. And she's like, what? What the F? And he's like, no, you're going to marry this other guy from the Kudo family who's like infamously terrible and like, he can't keep a fiance and stuff. And she's like, oh my God. And so she goes there. And then he ends up being really cute and they fall in love and it's adorable. And then they like stick it to her family and it's the best. So please go read it.
Okay, I need to go read. I know, I need to read this now and I need to watch.
And there's an anime.
I need to do this now.
There's one episode now. And they come out every Wednesday, so there will be a second episode by the time this is published online, but I'm so excited.
Alright, I'm here for it. You've convinced me, and I usually don't like those types of stories, but I'm here for it.
I know, you're usually an action-y.
Yeah,
I'm the romancy one, and you're the action-y one.
Yeah, I need the fantasy, I need the fighting, I need, like, the swords and whatever, but I will give it a try because it sounds good.
And there's a fantasy element to it, too, so, like, everyone has different powers, and Mio's family is known for having special powers, and then she's born without powers, so which is part of the reason why she's, like, shunned from her family. And then the Kudo family is, like, super powerful, and they can see, like, spirits or something. I don't know. I don't really, I don't completely understand it, but yeah, it's cool.
I'm excited for this now. You have me sold on it.
Yes.
Alright, so now that everyone knows what we've been up to, it's time that we get into the main topic of the day, which is love triangles. And it's a trope that apparently is not as debatable as I thought because Loretta has some not strong feelings about him, but I
don't know if that's me or not.
I do not like love triangles, and that's just
I feel like you just suggested this as a reason to go to rant uninterrupted for like an hour. To
have a TED Talk on love triangles. I actually tried to do research on like psychology behind like why love triangles are so interesting to like consume or watch or whatever it is, and I couldn't really find anything with any sort of scientific background to it, but most articles say that it's just the tension, like we're invested in the tension of the dynamics and the relationships, and it's like a thrill, right? Because you're wanted by
who's she gonna pick,
people.
Or who is he gonna pick?
So it's like pick? You know, not many people in real life have this problem where they're like, who do I choose?
What do you mean?
So it's just like the drama and the angst, and it's like, ooh, like, oh, I wonder if this is really what it's like to have that feeling of like so many people are in love with me, like, what am I gonna do, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And, like, is this real life? Is it fantasy? I don't know. But I will
I don't know.
Talk a little bit before I get into my
spiel. I went through my Goodreads and I made a list of books that had love triangles in them, and I don't know. I don't hate love triangles and I don't love love triangles. I think it just, I don't know, I'm ambivalent. Like, I guess it depends on the book. I have a hate section, a love section, like love triangles that I really liked. And then I have an honorable mention / meh category because some of these I legitimately don't know if they would be considered love triangles. And some of them I was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my list. Like Guild. I had Guild on there but I don't know, like, is that a love triangle? I don't know. Guild and Akatar are similar because I feel like they could be love triangle-y, but, like, if one of the love interests is abusive, does that really make it a love triangle?
I feel like no. I think it's more
that can't
of just
be, right? So I have them under, like, the question mark category because I was like, I don't know if these count, but... I have the classics on here, like Twilight, The Hunger Games. They're in the hate category because that was just, like, wild.
I have in here, I put Hunger Games under my hate section too, and then my note is, if you're Team Gale, that's a red flag.
It really is. What the F? My note says, what the F was that?
And then under Twilight, I put, I've been hoodwinked. I know that I mention this every single time we talk about Twilight, but I will never get over
deceived.
The fact that somebody described that series as a really cool vampire series where they have tons of cool powers and they fight, And it's 4 books of a love triangle and a whiny, depressive teenager.
That's one of the bad ones, too, because we all knew she was choosing Jacob. I mean, not choosing Jacob. We all knew that she was choosing Edward, but then she just strings Jacob along for a really long time.
Yep. And, okay, that is a perfect segue into my, like, high-level notes on love triangles. And I have in here that the ones that I don't like, and I think this is why love triangles for me are on my, like, if I could do without it most of the time, is because I feel like a lot of them, there is a clear winner, and the second love interest is just thrown in there to add, like, unnecessary angst, because there's nothing else going on. So they're like, ooh, let's break them apart. Let's have this, like, second person come in and, like, try to win their love.
Yeah.
But it's not done well enough because you just feel like then the main character is the bad one, because they're obviously just using them as a distraction while the main person, the main love interest, like, gets their stuff together and then they can be together again or whatever. Like, if there's a second stringer and a backup that is just thrown in that you can obviously tell, like, I'm out. That's not a good love triangle.
It's like an obvious way to just stretch out the conflict.
Yeah.
For no reason.
I'm just like, I don't understand. This is not good. And I'm gonna say it. I will die on this hill. I put the Infernal Devices love triangle in this category.
I was just waiting
because there was a clear winner. And everybody knew who the winner was.
I don't know. That one's in my meh category because, like, people love that love triangle. They're like, oh, that's the best love triangle. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. We all knew she was choosing Will.
I'm gonna get so much hate for saying this, but I honestly think people only like that love triangle because the main 2 characters are bookworms. And they're like, ooh, the bookworms get to be together. Oh, look, she loves books, but she can save the world too. Because other than that, like, Tessa is really boring.
She is pretty
boring,
I
didn't find her, like, I don't know. Like, I didn't... Cool, Will is emotionally abusive and, like, mean, and... Tessa's just a boring log. Jem is too nice, like, that he has no issues. Like, what's his red flag? Because he's dying. That's his only thing, and that's not even bad. Like, I don't know why people like this story.
Will is such a fucking mess in those books. I like Dad Will. Dad Will is far superior.
Yes, when he gets his act together and he doesn't think that he needs to push everyone away, he's great. But, like, I don't know, gotta peel back all those onion layers like Shrek.
And then the reason that he
core.
pushes everyone away is so ridiculous in the end. Like, I can't. Oh my god. I don't know if I should say it, but that was just, it was all, like, weird.
I'm sorry. That is one love triangle I cannot get behind. I love Will and Tessa together. Again, great. But, like, I feel bad for Jem because he's like, I just want to love you until I die. Give me your time.
You have to be a silent brother, like, without a mouth for 100 years
like,
before you can finally get your girl.
I'm addicted to this drug, but, like, I'll give you all of my days until then. And she's like, okay, I guess. And then once Will is, like, back in action, she's like, sorry, Jem, gotta go. Like, go do your silent brother thing.
Okay, but that reminds me of the Hunger Games, because that was my, like, I just hate that entire love triangle. Like, I was on Team PETA because, like, if I had to choose a guy, I guess I'm Team PETA. But yeah. I don't know, then he loses his memories, and then it's really weird because he doesn't remember her, but she has feelings for him, and he's like, who are you? And then Gil is running around being a douchebag, and then in the end...
The entire time!
Then in the end, Katniss is like, well, Peeta's here, I guess I'll be with him, and that's how it ends!
And I have seen so many people talk about this, and I love that it's so dissected, even though it's meant for young adults, because people have said the reason why it's written that way is purposeful, because Katniss was always meant to be strong, and she was always better off doing things for herself. Like, the entire series, Katniss is only thinking about what she wants, and not about what anybody else wants. Like, her whole goal from the very beginning is, I need to save my sister and my mom, and she keeps that. And, like, whoever is around who is going to help benefit that end goal, she uses to her advantage. So, like, in the beginning when she's helping PETA and when they're, like, in their fake love nest when they're in the games, like, she never actually liked him that entire time. She was using him because she wanted to save
comfort
her
from someone.
And
she needed to save her sister.
And she's trying to make it. Yeah, and so she was like, oh, well, he's here. Like, might as well make the most of it. And then, like, eventually he wins her over and she's like, okay, we're friends. But, like, it was never, oh, I need to save PETA because I love him.
Yeah.
It was, I need to do this to get to my end goal. Versus for PETA, it was always like, I love Katniss and I want her to win.
It made me feel bad for him. I was like,
I know, like, I'm doing this because I know I don't have a chance, but, like, I want her to win, so I'm gonna do everything I can for this girl that I'm obsessed with.
Yeah.
And Gale is just like, why him? Choose me. Pick me.
We should have run away together when I had the chance.
And he's, like, so selfish in his own way, and he's, like, wanting to go away with her and, like, not caring about her family at all.
Else.
And he's like, let's just leave everybody else. I'm cool if I have you.
Y'all. Which I sort of get, but no. I don't know. It was
but
just,
I also didn't.
What a depressing mess. What?
Yeah, I also didn't like the love triangle, but not because of the way that it ended, because I just felt like Gale was annoying the entire time. Like, Katniss should have just been like, shut up, Gale, leave me alone, I don't like you.
Yeah.
Go run away by yourself, go hide in the woods, I'm gonna save the world, like, bye.
Yeah. I mean, we could have a whole episode about this, because I have a lot of thoughts about Mockingjay in general.
Adding it to the list of episodes,
possible
of specific series, we need to do a Hunger Games episode. But another like sub-genre or sub-trope within, like, the love triangle that I put that I hate is when, I also started looking at movies with love triangles and the ones that I like and don't like.
I didn't venture down that road.
But the one that I have in here is when there are best friends and one of them is getting married and the other one is secretly in love. And then they ask the best friend that's not getting married to, like, be part of the wedding.
I hate that. It makes me so mad.
The wedding. And then at the very last second, they realize that they're in love with each other. I can
think of 2 movies right off the top of my head right now that deal with that.
Yes, mine, the one example that I have in here is Maid of Honor with Patrick Dempsey.
Yep.
I will watch it because it has Patrick Dempsey in it, but I'm like, you're telling me you guys spend all of the time together and not once did y'all ever think, like, oh, let's go on a date. Like, let me tell this person how much I love them. You have to wait until they cheat on their fiance with you for them to realize that they love you.
And you spend so much time together and not one night you're like, hey, like, I maybe have feelings for you. Like, oh my God.
And if this was, like, a real-life TikTok story where it's like, I'm leaving my fiancé because I found out that they were in love with their best friend, you know that everybody in the comments would be like, F that guy, you need to leave, he's not good, they're both trash, blah, blah, blah. But then when it's in a rom-com, you're like, oh, so cute, they were made for each other. It's adorable.
I know.
What was the second movie that you have on your list?
I just had to look it up while you were talking. Love, Rosie. With Lily Collins and the guy who plays Finnick, ironically.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that one.
Same thing. He's in love with her, and they've known each other since, like, high school, and she's completely oblivious. And then, it's just about them. It's literally about, like, their entire lives together, and they just keep missing each other, and it's the most infuriating movie to me ever. I can't remember who falls first, but I think it's her, and like he never confesses his feelings, and then eventually she catches feelings for him, and by the time she realizes that she loves him, he's already moved on with, like, some other chick. And then she tries to move on, and then he wants to tell her when it does. I don't know. It's just, like, a fucking mess, and I hate it.
Not me being like, all right, I'm going to watch it right after this.
I mean, please do and text me.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm crazy.
Also, you have on the hate while we're still on the hate train. Don't worry, guys. We'll get to the ones that we love eventually. You have on here Chain of Gold, and I was like...
I wrote that down, and I was like, please don't hurt me.
I saw that, and I was like, you cannot have an opinion because you haven't finished the series
yet. Wait, no, but I wanted to bring something up, bigger. I have not finished the chain of, like, I've only read the first book, so I can't say anything, but I will say that reading that book was just, like, physically, that's part of the reason why I don't want to read the second one, because I know I have to deal with more of James and bracelets and Grace.
See, I wouldn't consider that a love triangle, because
I guess
part
it's
of
not,
it is, like...
because he has no control over it.
Yeah, it's, like, entrapment? I don't know. I thought you were talking about completely different characters, so...
Oh. Who did you think I was talking?
We won't even get into it. I can't tell you because you haven't finished. I can't tell you.
That's what I was thinking about. It probably doesn't count, but...
I will say, for all of the Shadowhunter fans out there who haven't read The Last Hours, that The Last Hours is my favorite series out of everything that she's written in the Shadowhunter universe. Like, I will get behind the main character romance. I love all of the side character romance. I'm happy with the way that she ended it. Like...
Thank God.
The
endings, man, sometimes.
The endings could be kind of rough. Like, there are a few character deaths that I, like, will weep over, but that's normal for her books. Mm-hmm. But I will say that, like, this is my favorite series. Like, I will die on that hill. The Last Hours is really good.
There you go. I mean, I will say...
Don't listen to Loretta.
No, I liked the first book a lot. Yeah, don't misconstrue what I'm saying. There's just one part of it that
I honestly will say that when I read this, I did not think that it was Grace and Cordelia that you were talking about. I, like, thought of it was a completely different set of characters. So, I can't tell you who yet.
I think I might know what you're talking about, but I don't want to
guess wrong. So I will wait until you catch up for us to discuss, and then we can talk about, like, that side love triangle.
But I did want to, this ties back to something that I wanted to ask, because one of the other things on my hate list was Simon in the Mortal Instruments and his weird fucking weird love triangle with Isabel and Maya, which I hated.
See, I think that is a perfect example of, like, why I hate love triangles, because in reality, like, somebody's cheating on somebody else. When you have a love triangle, like, it's cheating. Like, he's clearly dating two girls, and everybody gets mad at him. And, like, they should be. Yeah. Because that's not, like, morally acceptable. Like, why is a love triangle okay in a book? You're, like, dating two people. But I also didn't
wanted
like
to strangle Simon
really
during
weird.
that entire time period, so that makes sense.
Yeah, it gives me, like, nice guy. Like, I'm a nice guy. Like, but I'm the nice one. Yeah. Like, I'm the nice nerdy one.
I didn't know how to say no.
Yeah. Like, okay.
But but that got me thinking about, like, Cassie Clare's love triangles in general, and I don't know if I'm a huge fan of her love triangles.
No, I've been saying this. I've been saying this.
That's what I've been saying this entire time.
Like, finally.
I never put it together. I don't know. I never blamed Cassie Clare specifically. Like, I don't know. But now that I'm thinking about all of her books at once and all of the love triangles, I'm like, I don't know if I like the way you handle love triangles, chick. She drags them out. Like, unnecessarily, and
Welcome
I hate
to the dark side of not liking Cassie Clare love triangles. I am trash for Cassandra Clare. I have every single one of her books. I have multiple editions of multiple books. I love Shadowhunters. I
love her
refuse
characters.
to enjoy her love triangles. They're not good.
Yeah, no. Oh, I wasn't sure how you were going to take that, so I'm glad that we're on the same page.
Yeah, we're on the same page, but I honestly was very confused when I read that because I wasn't thinking about the main three. I was thinking about something that happens later on, and I was like, oh, you're not even there yet. That's
How do you know?
We'll continue on with that later.
I'll do an update later, and I'll be like, I finally know what you mean.
I feel like we should get into the ones that we like now, so that way we're not just being hated on. We're not being haters.
Okay, the best love triangle, in my opinion, hands down, is Kiss of Deception, Remnant Chronicles.
I have that. Yeah, I have that on my list too.
It's tops for me. I love that book. I love that series so much. Best love triangle.
It's so good. For those who don't know what is the entire series called? I know the Kiss of Deception is the first book.
The Remnant Chronicles.
Oh yeah, did you just say that?
Yes.
The Remnant Chronicles. by Mary E. Pearson, which, side note, she is the sweetest person ever. I have met her.
She's so nice.
Gave me an arc of one of her books when I saw her at Y'all West one year. She's so sweet. But the love triangle is between a girl and two guys, but you don't know who is who in the triangle until the very end.
There's
so
Leah, there's Rafe, and there's Caden. But you don't... The way she writes it, I don't even know how to describe it. She has these interactions with guys, but you don't know their names, and you don't know which one is which.
Yeah, you know their names, but you don't know... So, Leah is the princess. She runs away. Then you get a snippet from one dude, but you don't know who it is. And one of them is the prince, and one of them is an assassin. And so you go through this whole book reading their character interactions with her and liking one or the other, but you don't know which one is the prince and which one is the assassin until the very end. So you could be falling in love with the dude who's meant to kill her. We don't even know until...
You also find out who is who at the end of the first book, which, thank you.
Yes, it does not get dragged on.
She doesn't drag it out for the entire trilogy, which
amazing.
I really appreciate.
Yeah, there's also a spin-off series in the same world, which is also a very
super
good series.
Not a love triangle, but very good.
It was big on... It's called Dance of Thieves. That's the first book in the spin-off series.
We should reread
And
those.
it got really big on TikTok because what somebody was talking about, it went viral. And so people were picking it up and reading it.
I've seen a lot of TikToks of people who were like, how did I not know this existed? Like, I know.
And so people started reading the spin-off series, not understanding what was going on. And I'm like, context, guys, like, Google.
These are related. Yeah.
Yes, start with The Kiss of Deception, aka The Remnant Chronicles, which Loretta said, and I clearly did not hear.
It's okay.
It went over my head.
We're very excited. We're burning through books.
Yes. I also will put top tier The Dark Elements. I know that you're still reading it and you haven't gotten to book 2 or 3 yet, but I will say that this one, I was heavily invested in both of the love interests.
I can see it.
Interests. And I had a favorite, but I was very torn because of the way that she writes it. So, this is not spoiler at all for you, but in the first book, you meet both of the love interests. And then one of them gets sent away. One of them something happens at the end of book 1. And so one of them is gone. And then in the second book, you get to focus on an individual. Like, individual. And then she finally has to decide. And I'm like, this is makes perfect sense. You get to see each couple in their own silo.
I want to know how he gets sent away because I know who you're talking about.
And it's like, you get one character, they each get their own book, and then it gets resolved at the end, and you're like, wow.
I can see the potential there. The first book focuses on Roth, and then Zane is kind of in the background, and Zane is not great this book, but I can see his potential. Like, I can see where it's going, and I'm into it. I like it a lot, so.
Yeah, and so it's kind of like, again, I know you haven't seen it, but I always mention it. It's like Pearl Harbor. So for whoever has seen Pearl Harbor out there, that was another love triangle that I think clearly worked. It's very dramatic. Like, it's dramatized, obviously, because it's a war movie, and, like, they go away, and, like, somebody comes back, and the other one doesn't, and then there's, like, the plot twist. Like, I think that movie was done really well, and they added in that, like, romance element to it, even though it is technically a war movie. Mm-hmm. But it gives off the same vibes of, like, they're both there at the beginning, and then there's a person that she's with, and then they both go away, and then one of them is here for the second act, and then you find out, like, what's going on. And then also, just as a bonus, The Loser has a spin-off series, so, like, you get the best of both worlds.
We love to see it. JLA gets it.
And I love that love triangle. Also, for anybody who doesn't know what The Dark Elements is about, it has demons and gargoyles and magic, and they have to save the world. And it's, like, very
it's cool.
JLA at her core, I would say. Like, very
The gargoyles thing
typical.
Is really cool, because, like, never read anything like that before.
Yeah, and I like you eventually get more backstory on the gargoyles, too. And, like, where they came from and all of that stuff. So it's not just, like, oh, they're gargoyles. There's, like, actually, like, more lore in the world.
Yeah.
So I would say everybody read that series. It is YA, but I think it's like upper YA. I will say there's like kissing and stuff, so
yeah, heavy petting.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
I mean, yeah, it's not bothering. It is YA, but it's not bothering me at all. I really like it.
Yeah, and they're really quick reads. Like, they're not big books. They're like very, very easy to get through.
Yeah, for sure.
I also have on my list Sweet Home Alabama.
I love that movie.
It's so cute, and
I just watched that the other day.
Works. It's so good. Whenever it's on, I'm always like, yes, I'm gonna watch this in the background. I know it's not a book. I wish it was. I would read that if it was based on a book. I would absolutely read that. But that is a good love triangle. If anybody hasn't seen Sweet Home Alabama
it's so
yet,
cute.
I highly recommend.
My mom and I are always like, do we know Mo? And I don't know if anyone... It's the most random reference, but...
Yeah. Also, it has Patrick Dempsey in it. I guess he's like,
he's
you know,
in the love
you need
triangles.
a guy to be in a love triangle movie.
McDreamy.
You get Patrick Dempsey. Yep.
On my honorable mentions, I wanted to bring this up. The Host by Stephanie Meyer. I don't know if you haven't read that.
I haven't read it. No.
Oh my god, it's so funny. Good for lulz. It's a love triangle, but it's the weirdest effing love triangle on the planet because I don't even know how to describe it. Melanie, there's this chick Melanie, and then an alien invasion. Melanie has a younger brother. An alien invasion happens, and these aliens, like, take over the human mind, basically. It's like a little thing that, like, goes into you, and I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, attaches to your brain.
Yeah, so then when Melanie wakes up, there's an alien in her head, and then they have, like, conversations and shit, and eventually she ends up, like, going and finding the guy Melanie used to be in love with. And there's like a weird love triangle, but it's not a weird love triangle because it's just two people, but there's three because there's two people in one.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. It's the weirdest fucking thing, but I had to just make sure I had mentioned it.
Is it good? You have it as an honorable mention, but is it honorable mention good or honorable mention bad?
I don't know. Honorable mention for entertainment. Okay, I will say that I love The Host, and I don't even know why, because intellectually I know that it's not very good, but I love it for some reason. I think I like it because there's a guy named Ian that I'm low-key in love with.
And it's only one book, right? It's not a series?
It's only one book. She was going to make it a series, and then that never happened, and I don't know why, but it ends in a good place, so
yeah,
it's one book.
I mean,
it won't cause you any torture. I feel like I could
get behind that. Yeah.
It's slow.
I think I could do it. If it's aliens, like, maybe. I'll give it a try.
It's kind of fun. I don't know. Like, for entertainment.
Yeah.
I like it.
I love that we have this one as different, so I'm going to bring it up because you have it, I think, as meh, and I have it as I loved it. To All the Boys.
I was wondering.
But I'm going to clarify that I only like the love triangle in the actual book series. If you're watching the movies...
Yes.
It doesn't work. Like, I feel like the movies just did the
I love the first movie, and then I started watching the second movie, and I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah, again, the first movie was so good. They followed
it was so good.
Source material so well. Like, obviously, they did change some stuff. It's fine. Like, I'm not, like, you don't have to follow every page word for word. But, like, then the second and third movie, they just went completely off script. And I was like, why change it? The first one was so good. And now you're just like going rogue.
And I think this has to do with our favorite guy. Because you were a Peter fan. And I loved, who's the other guy? I already forgot him. The other guy in the love triangle.
John Ambrose. I
loved him. He was my favorite. Like, I knew that she was going to pick Peter. Like, I knew that. But I don't know. He was so cute. And then in the book...
They were both really cute, and I feel like
in the book they changed John, like, a lot. And then I was like, I don't know. Well, I don't like it. I don't know.
Yeah, his character was not, like...
The actor is cute,
shy.
But yeah.
Yeah. The character, like, the personality
exactly.
was just very off. He wasn't, like, quiet and nerdy and, like, soft-spoken. He was, like, the cool guy. And I was like, you're not supposed to be the cool guy.
Yeah, exactly.
What? That's Peter. But I feel like in the books it was just written really well because I feel like when you're a teenager, that's kind of what happens where you're like, I don't like you anymore. Like, I need to go see who else I like because you, like, slighted me, you forgot my birthday, and it's like everything is over dramatized, and then you kind of like,
and you're so young, like you don't know what else is out there, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and so then you're like, maybe this can happen, and then it just doesn't. And I was like, this kind of does work. You're not cheating. You're not talking to both of them at the same time. There is clearly, like, we were on a break. Like, whatever it was. Like, there's a clear separation of, like, time with one and time with the other.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like it was very reminiscent of, like, teen years. Like, if I'm going back to how I was as a teenager, I was, like, drama and, like, oh, everything's the end of the world, too. Yeah.
I will say, like, I have to all the boys under my meh category, but I only did that because she didn't choose the guy that I liked. But it's a good love triangle, and I still love this series, so, like, 2 thumbs up for me.
Yeah, but I liked To All the Boys, and I'm sorry that your boy didn't get chosen.
It's okay. Peter's still super cute, so it worked out.
Yeah. I have on my honorable mentions, again, we both put this, I think, on... No, you have yours on hate, and I have mine on honorable mentions, but the Shatter Me love triangle, I honestly don't remember too much about it.
I couldn't even... I sat here and I was like, is there a love triangle in that? And I literally could not remember. And then I was like, no, there is, because one of my favorite scenes is when she's with the loser guy, and then... who's the other guy? Aaron? Is it?
Aaron? Yeah, Aaron.
Y'all, I barely remember this series. I read the first 3, barely remember them. One of my favorite scenes is when she's with the loser guy, and then...
his name is Adam.
I can't remember what happens, but she's like, Aaron, come get me. And then he comes and he, like, saves her, and it's really cool. And I was like, oh, yeah.
I put this one... So, again, for anybody who doesn't know what Shatter Me is, it's a dystopian series. I guess it could be considered fantasy-ish. I know, more sci-fi, maybe. They have kind of powers, but they're all, like, genetically
it's like fantasy
modified, maybe.
Dystopia?
Yeah, maybe it's dystopian for sure. And it follows a bunch of teenagers, and they're trying to save the world from, like, the overseer, dictator.
The first, 3 are actually they're good.
Yeah, we read them together, I think, and we read them so quickly, and all I remember from the group read is, like, everybody, like, bashing Adam and being like, this guy is so annoying.
Adam!
Like, what is going on?
I didn't even remember his name.
Adam.
I just, like, completely forgot he existed.
Yeah, I had to Google it right now.
Kenji was obviously, like,
Kenji was the life of the party. Series. But, like, the first 3 are really fun. I recommend if you're looking for just, like, a fun, quick read again, just, like, get you out of a slump, like, the first 3.
The third one end in a pretty good place? So, like, I don't know. Yes. I ended in the third one, and I was like, I don't need anything else.
Yeah, you can stop after the third one. I think there are maybe, like, 3 more books, maybe more, 3 or 4. But according to everybody that I've talked to, they're not good, because it's just, like, opening up a box of worms that, like, you didn't need at all. Mm-hmm. And they're, like, plot twists that are, like, unnecessary, and where you're just like, okay, you didn't...
I remember loving the third book. The third book's great,
yeah,
so...
The series overall is, like, a good, solid YA trilogy. Like, I would say, like, obviously, if you're in the mood for YA, because it is very angsty, like, you are dealing with annoying teenagers, so if that's not your vibe, obviously you're not gonna like them, but if you can handle, like, that we're teens saving the world type of vibes, and they're, like, going against all the smart adults, like, definitely try it. But I just think
But yeah, I just completely forgot Adam existed. That's why it's in my hate category, because I was like, if I don't even remember you were there, probably not good.
I have it in here, and my notes are, I just think this one is funny, LOL. Because I just remember when we read them the first time, him being, like, whiny of, like, pick me, love me. Yeah. But he's so boring, and you're like, why would anybody choose you over Aaron? Here, like, look at this freaking tall, blonde, muscular dude who would do anything for her. He's like, okay, killing people. And Adam is like, I can touch you without dying. Cool. That's my one quality.
Love me. I can touch
you. You won't kill me with your powers. That's why I'm the better option.
Oh my god, it's true though. Also, this is reminding me, you haven't read this series, but I put it on my list in all caps, the Selection series. Oh my god. I really want you to read this. I only read the first 3 books because, I started reading the 4th one and I could not stand the main chick. And I was like, can't do this. And I stopped reading them, but you should, I really want you to read the first 3 because...
See, and I've heard different things about this series. Like, some people say, oh my gosh,
they're not
so
good. Go into it knowing that they're not good.
They suck.
But they're hilarious.
Alright,
it's
there's so
Bachelor.
Many things I need to catch up on.
It's like Royal Teen Bachelor, but in a dystopia world. It's crazy. And then there's like a guy she grew up with who's in love with her. Or I can't remember if she's in love with him too, but they have a thing. And then it's like obviously going to be the royal hot guy. Like he's going to be the winner. But, they drag it out. And anyway, it's very dramatic for no reason. You gotta read it. You gotta.
Okay. I will bump that up to my short list of things I need to read soon just so we can laugh about it.
A classic.
I have on here as an honorable mention, and I know you either haven't finished it or you haven't read them yet, but I have Furyborn by Clare Legrand on here.
I have not read them.
Okay. For everybody who doesn't know, I love this trilogy. I love everything Clare Legrand writes. She's very, poignant. Is that how you say that?
I started reading the first one and then
it?
was not like vibing with it at the time. Not because of the book. I just I don't know.
There's just a lot going on. It's very intense.
You have to focus on it, and I just was not into it at the time. So
yeah, her writing is just very magical. She writes about real things. Like she always throws in like periods in her books and people talking about like, oh, I have my period. It hurts. It sucks. Or like there's always a character or two, multiple that's dealing with like a mental illness or PTSD or like something, it's just like very realistic, even though her books are fantastical, and I just love everything she writes. Furyborn is the trilogy that I started off with, and it has angels, it has
two
different timelines going on, you have different POVs.
Time travel, that's what I was thinking.
You have magic, you have prophecies. There's just so much, like everything that I love that's in this series. And there is a love triangle, and the reason why I don't have it on either love or hate is because it's kind of a weird one. Like it is a love triangle, but it's between the hero and the villain and the main character, but then the main character herself is not necessarily like one or the other. She's kind of the morally gray one, which I think is kind of interesting because you don't really see a morally gray main character that deals with multiple love interests. It's more of like if the main character is morally gray, they're kind of like just with everybody. They're like, yeah, I'm just going to go on to my next romance, my next dalliance. But it's really interesting. And I don't know how to feel about it either way, other than like you start hating the main character because you're like, what are you freaking doing? But then by the end, you're like, okay, this makes sense. Like, all right, like I can see it, and it's just all very, I don't know. Like you feel a lot. You have a lot of different emotions, and some of them are good and some of them are bad. Like you'll be happy, you'll be sad. There's just like the ending just culminates into this like peak, and then it happens, and you're like satisfied, but like confused. It's,
confusingly
like
satisfied.
And confused because you're feeling all of the things. Like everything happens, and like like I said, it's just, I don't know how to feel, but it's good.
I feel that's all I can say. Like this relates actually to, because on my list under love, one of my favorite love triangles, I don't even know if it's a love triangle, is Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. Because, I don't want to give it away, but she has this relationship with the guy. She is cursed when she's young, and she's cursed to live like no one remembers her. Like she can have whole conversations with people, and the moment she walks away, people forget her. And she can't speak her name. She literally can't say her name. And she has this relationship with the being or the god, I don't know, who cursed her. And it's a very like, I don't know, like toxic, weird, but then you end up like not hating him. I don't know. Yeah. There were times when I was like, why don't I hate you? Because I should definitely hate you, but I don't. And then another guy comes along, and so, but the other guy doesn't know about, you know, like the being or the god. I don't know. It's just, and then the way it ends is so open-ended, which I normally hate, but it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just, it's amazing.
Confusingly satisfied.
Confusingly satisfied.
That's a good way to put it. We're going to coin that. We're going to coin that phrase.
Yeah.
You're going to be confused, but you're going to be satisfied.
I own all 3 Fury Barn books, though, so it's happening at some point.
I genuinely believe that you will love that series, and
I know I
will.
will.
I just as obsessed with Simon as I am.
Yeah. I feel like this is on par with, what's the Sarah J. Maas book I haven't read yet? House of
Earth and Blood, or Blood and Earth, one of those.
Yeah, the first one.
Crescent City,
thank you. This is House of whatever is the second one. I know I'm gonna love it. I just have to, like, focus on it, and I haven't wanted to. I don't know.
Yeah, that's another one that I have a hot take, because I don't think that the first book is as good as everybody else does, and I'm just like, she spends 75% of that book crying and being depressed. Like, I don't need that. That doesn't make the book... Just because you're crying doesn't mean... I have that in good.
Everyday life.
But they are good. Like, Sarah J. Maas is a great writer. I just happen to love the second book more, and some people hate the second book and love the first book, and I'm just like, I don't know what y'all are talking about, because the second book is amazing, so just gonna sit with it. But yeah, that is another one that I think you'll enjoy.
Also, a special shout out to the Mediator series by Meg Cabot, which is one that I read when I was like 14 or 15. I went through a giant Meg Cabot phase, like in my preteens. She was like my favorite author for a really long time because I loved The Princess Diaries. And then she wrote this Mediator series, which I ate the fuck up. And it's about this chick. It's 6 books, which is probably way too long, but it's 6 books, and it's about this chick who can see ghosts and see and talk to ghosts. And so she's supposed to help them, like, move on to their next life, but she hates it. So she's like a begrudging helper of the ghosts. And then she ends up moving with her family to Carmel, and they live in an older house, and her room is haunted by a really hot ghost. And they catch feelings for each other. But obviously, like, they can't do anything about it because he's a ghost. And then this other guy comes along who becomes, like, the third in the love triangle, and he's pretty evil, but she, like, is oblivious to it somehow. And anyway, it's really good. I fucking love this book.
You just reminded me, this is not a good series at all. I only read the first book and I hated it. But
the Meteor books are probably not good, but 13-year-old me thought they were good, and that's what I'm going with. So
I read the first book for our vampire episode, and I think it's called, like, The House of Lad, or, like, The House of Vampires.
I vaguely remember this.
I need to go look it out. I'll look it up after. I'll Google it, and I can figure out what it is. But basically, the premise is that the main girl moves in to her grandma's house, I think, because her grandma dies or her aunt dies or something like that. So she moves in, and she finds out that she's, like, in the middle of a vampire prophecy, and that she has to have, like, a vampire baby in order to, like, save the world or something like that.
What?
And so she has, like, 3 vampire dudes who are, like, all trying to, like, impress her and have her pick them to have their vampire baby or something like that. And it's just really
sounds
weird.
wild.
There's, like, a group of people who are, like, actively after the vampires, and, like, there are witches, and there's, like, I don't know. It's just weird. And she, like, lives with them. So they're all, like, dating each other together.
Why do I want to read this? It sounds like absolute chaos.
It's very chaotic. It's called House of Vampires by Samantha Snow, Lorena Quinn #1. My notes are, the ending was the best part. 0 through 90% was trash. Might go back to find out what happens to Magic, but this whole choose a brother deal is BS. So, they are...
That's like a love hexagon.
Yeah, there are 3 vampire... If I'm remembering correctly, I think there are 3. And they're like brothers, but they're not really brothers because they're like super old vampires that were like made at different times.
Was she really young? That's always really weird.
I want to say yes. And I think if I recall correctly, this is the girl that keeps saying like, oh yeah, like I know about this because I have a degree in archaeology,
yes.
or I have a degree in
anthropology. PhD or whatever.
Yeah, she's like, I went to college for anthropology, so I remember talking about
this.
Like, what is going on?
That doesn't excuse, like, anything you do.
And she's, like, so dumb, but she thinks that she's smart. She's like, I have a degree in anthropology, or whatever her degree is in. And I'm just like, girl, you don't have to bring it up every chapter.
We know.
Get it. But anyway, that is also a technically, I guess, love square triangle that goes under my hate bucket. But if you're interested in, like, weird vampire... Having a vampire baby, like,
I'm intrigued by the vampire baby thing, but it's against my will. I don't know.
Also, I feel like we should end with one that we both love, which is A Ruinous Fate.
I was just gonna say we both had that in our love. I love that we both had that.
Yes, we will wrap.
I'm
up
hesitant to
list.
even call it a love triangle after we spoke to her about it and stuff. But
yeah, you're right. You can. Whoever's listening, if you haven't listened to the Kaylee Smith episodes, you should because she's amazing. But she does say that it's more of just like chaotic romantic relationships as you're going through a deadly magical forest. But there is, I guess,
there is a lot of love chaos qualities. So.
Yes. Between all of the main characters, it's a group. It's a group of witches and what else is Valkyrie,
not to deviate from the good note that we were going to end on, but I wanted to ask because I honestly cannot remember. Is there a love triangle in Red Queen?
Yeah, kind of.
I read the first one, and I don't know if this is a hot take. Maybe it is, but I was not. I love Victoria Aveyard, like on social media and stuff, but as a person. But I read that book, and I was like, eh.
The first book is really good. I loved the first book and the plot twist ending, and I was like,
the ending
wow,
was
this
great.
Is amazing. Then the second and third book were okay, and the ending of it I thought was kind of like slow. Like I thought that it wasn't as good as I hoped it would be. Like the whole series is fine, it's good, but it's not like an amazing fantasy series for me at least. Like the first book is the most enjoyable.
I thought it was
the most enjoyable.
I read the first one and then I was not compelled to keep reading them, so.
Yeah. But there is a love triangle-esque thing going on between Meyer and the two brothers. So she meets the older brother first, but he doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know who he is, I don't think either. They kind of just have like an offhand meeting where they like a vibe.
Yeah.
And then something happens and she gets caught, I guess, and people realize that she has like a certain type of elemental powers. Mm-hmm. And so the royal family take her in because they're trying to like save face and like keep people from rebelling or whatever. And so she gets taken in and they tell her, oh, you have to marry or you have to hang out with the younger brother. And then she starts hanging out with the younger brother and they kind of vibe and they kind of like, at first it doesn't work out and then you start liking him a little bit more and you're like, okay, this might vibe. And then she finds out that the dude from the beginning that she met is his brother.
Yeah.
And then they get to hanging out and so then she's like with the older brother, but then she's like supposed to be dating and being with the younger brother, and then there's like a whole thing, and then there's a plot twist. So the real only love and then the older brother is supposed to be marrying and being with some other girl, so there are like elements of it.
Yeah.
And then by the end of book 1, all of it unravels, and then it also becomes just like chaos.
It really is. Yeah, it ends in chaos. That's the only part of it I remember.
Yeah, and the romance, I feel like, kind of takes a back seat. Like, it is still part of the plot, but it's not, like, the main part. It's not, like, the only thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that one's okay. It's just a lot. So if you're going to invest, just know that each book gets thicker and thicker.
Yeah.
And I didn't
love it enough to keep going. I was like, nah.
Per my usual antics, I have to know what happens.
Yeah.
So I had to...
You had to be Dev and know.
Yeah. And, like, the world itself, the fantasy world is really interesting.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I do like all of the politics and the war and, like, the magic system and the history. Like, all of that stuff is good. It was just kind of, like, everything else is kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Guess we can, like... It's very GOT meets, like, every other YA.
I'm trying to think of the first book I read felt very, Game of Thrones meets, like, I don't know, Throne of Glass or something.
Yeah, Game of Thrones meets, like...
Okay, you know how the first Throne of Glass book has like a completely different vibe than the rest of the series?
Yeah.
It feels like the first book of the Throne of Glass book.
Yes, Red Queen.
Yeah.
Books 2 through 4 are more focused on all of the warring countries and, like, what their interests are and, like, how they're getting what they want. And, like, Then you have other queens and kings or, like, political families coming in and being like, we'll make an alliance with you, and then they're like, well, we'll make an alliance with you, and so, like, at any given point in time, there are, like, different bad guys, depending on, like, what perspective you're reading it in,
mm-hmm.
And then you have, like, the main crew who's, like, going through all of the different places, being like, great, now we have to battle these people, and now we have to, like, figure out how to maneuver all of these different people who are now going to war with each other, and so it's all very, like... Again, the romance kind of takes a backseat because it's mostly like, now who's gonna have power?
Yeah. Anyway, Aruna's Fate is really good and you should read it.
Anyway, ending it on a high note, Aruna's Fate, also YA, has a lot of chaotic romance and unrequited love and not unrequited love and love that people didn't even know was still a thing. They thought it was over, but the other person didn't, and it's just a lot, and it's so good.
This person's in love with this person, and they don't know it, and then this person used to date that person, and they don't love them anymore, but they're still in love with them, and then, it's just chaos.
Yes. Cool. Well, we've been talking it's been, like, I don't know. It's been a while, but we're gonna end with a game, because we're bringing our games back. And we are gonna do a love triangle generator, and we're just gonna vibe and see what we think would happen between all of these random characters if they were in a love triangle together. Also, okay, so, first up, I just randomly generated 3 names. We're going with Roth, Feyre, and Rafe.
Wow. Okay, Roth is from JLA's White Hot Kiss. He's a demon. Feyre is Akatar. We all know who Feyre is.
Yes.
And Rafe is one of the love interests guys from Kiss of Deception, Remnant Chronicles.
Yes. I think, based off of who
Roth
is
the most conceited, like, sassy one.
I think that she would end up with Roth because he reminds me more of Reese than Rafe does.
He's more, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Rafe would be the
or
talent,
would Roth and Rafe end up together? I don't know. Feyre's kind of boring.
Yeah, true. Feyre is boring. You know what? I think just for that reason, we should just take her out of the equation and say Roth and Rafe end up together. They start off fighting over Feyre.
Oh my god, yeah.
And then they fall in love with each other. They don't need her, and they just want each other instead.
Oh my god, I love that, though.
And Feyre gets pushed aside, and she can do whatever she wants.
Go run back to Reese.
Oh my god, this one's so good. Okay, Edward Cullen, Will Herondale, and Tessa.
No!
Tessa Gray.
Oh my god, Edward and Will would be so emo. I don't even know how that would end. If it's Teen Will and then Teen Edward, good lord.
That's just, all 3 of these characters are too emo for me. Like, it's emotional
I feel like Tessa
overload.
would still end up with Will because...
Of course, you have to keep them canon. Like, you can't.
And then Edward would
can't
just
break
go
them
cry in a
apart.
corner somewhere.
But, like, what would happen if we're in the Shadowhunter universe, I'm putting them all in there, I'm putting Edward in there, is that, like, Tessa would leave Edward for Will, and then Edward would go on a blood binge, and then, like, they would have to hunt
And then she'd
him
have
down
to
because
comfort him or something. Like,
he's
"It's
terrorizing
okay."
London, and they would have to go and, like, talk him down, and it just wouldn't work, so then they would end up having to kill Edward, because...
Probably, yeah. He's a downworlder.
He's becoming a serial killer. It's like, he's like Jack the Ripper. He's like,
Oh my god, yeah.
That would be the canon if Edward Cullen was part of the Shadowhunter universe. It'd be like, he becomes Jack the Ripper.
It'd be all dramatic because she has
Tessa...
feelings for him, but then, you know, they have to kill him, and she'd be like, oh, no, I love you. But I love Will more, goodbye.
Okay, so Jacob Black, Layla, I don't even know if she has a last name, I forget.
I don't even know.
From the Dark Elements, and Zane, also from White Hot Kiss, Dark Elements.
Oh, what a crew. I feel like Jacob would drive Zane absolutely fucking insane. Zane is so, like, straight-laced. I don't know.
I don't know if there are werewolves in this universe, in the Dark Elements universe. I'm assuming yes.
I feel like Layla and Zane would be together, and then they would look at Jacob and be like, you're weird. You werewolf.
Jacob would be... Yeah, because Layla is whiny, but not, like... Jacob Edward whiny. Like,
no.
She is like,
she's cool.
Teen girl, I have a really hard life, like, this makes sense.
Yeah.
To be
and
whiny.
To be fair, she legitimately does have a hard life, so.
Yes, like, I was not annoyed by her at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's gonna happen is that they're just gonna sabotage Jacob and, like, blackmail him for something and say, like, you need to, like, get out of town, or we're gonna, like, put our gargoyles on you or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wait, I have to redo this one even though it's funny because we already know, like, two of them are from the same place. Okay, Feyre, Jacob Black, and Elias Viturius. I am gonna say that
what?
Elias and Feyre get together and then obviously kill Jacob because, again, he's too whiny. Like, he's the villain. And
he's the odd man out there. Elias is so emo, too. He's like the Edward equivalent, kind of.
I can't. He's good. He's
in mood.
Though. Yeah, Elias is like...
Elias is way better, but...
He's a vibe. I don't even want to give favorite to him, but, like, I feel like...
I know! I don't want her to have Elias. Be with Jacob, I don't know.
Maybe it starts
I can't
off
put
with, like,
Jacob
Elias
and Elias
together.
Yeah.
Like, they're... Like, Elias and Feyre are together, but then he gets annoyed with her because she leaves paint everywhere, and she gets annoyed with him because he won't, like, let her do what she wants. And so then Jacob comes in, and Elias is like, this is perfect.
Elias won't stop eyeballing all the other girls that are around him, so she's like, I can't be with you.
This is perfect. And then they like, have a plot to, like, take Elias out, but he's obviously a trained soldier, so he already knows what's going on because he's, like, sabotage. So he lets them think that what they're doing they're gonna get away with, and then, like, they try to poison him and he fakes his own death so that way he can, like, get away.
I like this. I want to read this now.
So they poison him, but he knows that it's poison, so he obviously doesn't drink it.
Oh my god, he's like the Princess Diaries, and he's like, I've grown immune to this.
So he pretends that he dies and, like, lets them think that they got rid of him, and then he pieces out and, like, goes.
He's like, good riddance.
And he finds a, like,
oh my god, I love that
young girl, and then Feyre and Jacob are together.
They last like 3 months, and then Feyre's like, I can't stand you.
And then they realize that they're both annoying. But they realize that they just have to stay together and stick it out. Because
we killed a man for this love, so we have to be together.
They're gonna get found out. That's what happens.
My guilt won't let me leave. Oh my god, I loved that. That was epic.
Okay. I think this is the one we need to end on because it's so good.
Okay.
Okay. Tessa Gray from Infernal Devices, Roth from Dark Elements, and Elias from
Oh my god. I want to see Elias and Roth together.
Oh man, did we already do these two pairings? I feel like I don't even know what we started off with, but
I can't either.
I think that Roth is the bi guy who is the main character, and Tessa and Elias
I want him and Elias together.
are fighting for his affection, and Roth.
Yes, he's the main character in this.
Roth and Tessa start off as a couple, and then Elias is like the new kid in town, and Roth doesn't know that he likes boys yet. And then Elias and him. Oh my god!
Friends. Why do I want to read these books that we're creating?
And Elias and Roth become friends, and Tessa's like getting like jealous, and she's like, "What are you? Why are you always?"
He starts confiding in him about her, and then slowly they like fall in love with each other.
Yes, she is like Tessa would be like the church girlfriend, and Roth would be like. Like the bad boyfriend.
The bad influence bad guy.
And she would be like the church girlfriend who's like always trying to change him. Like, come with me to Sunday Mass, or like, in the name of the Lord, like, this is what we should be doing. And then like Elias comes in, he's like the bad boy, like the stranger, and Roth is like, who is this? And why do I want to hang out with him?
Who's this emo
and then
mystery?
Tessa would be like, it's a sin, Roth. You can't. You're going to hell. And then she ends up...
this is who I am.
And then she ends up getting hit by a bus, like in Mean Girls. And then Roth and Elias are like... She doesn't die, though, because I
wasn't ready for the bus.
She gets hit by a bus. And then they both go to the...
She stays with her for a little while longer out of, like, a weird sense of guilt. You're like, I can't break up with her now. She just got hit by a bus.
Roth goes to the hospital to visit her to give her flowers, and Elias goes to the hospital to, like, comfort Roth, and then they end up making out in, like, the janitor's closet in the hospital right next to her room, and then they realize that, like, that, like, she just needs to go. And then she finds a nice church boy to love at the end.
Them in the janitor's closet, and then they're like, what are we doing? She's right down the hall. He's like, you're right, we can't. Oh my god. Wow. Yeah. What a way to end. If anyone wants to take those and make some fan fictions, we will read them.
Yes,
oh my god, I'm crying.
I'm glad I could add some...
You really carried that, thank you.
The most unhinged stories. Come to me if you need anything.
That was funny. Okay. Well, on that note, come if you want more shenanigans like this, come and follow us. We're on all the things at Emo Girls Guide, Instagram, Threads.
Threads is new.
We got a Threads.
Maybe we'll just start posting these unhinged thoughts. Like, imagine if these three characters were in a love triangle and one of them got hit by a bus.
Like Mean Girls, but not.
Anyway, follow us on Threads, Instagram. We're on Fable.
Yeah, please save me from talking to myself in our Fable book club. We are reading The Curse of Saints, which I have started, and it's really good so far. So, if you like Throne of Glass and Ricin vibes, I recommend it. And there's wolves.
I'm starting it soon. Anyway, join us.
Come and join us. Come find us. We post new episodes every Sunday, so we'll be here. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Please stop me.
May your day
be blessed with main character energy.
All right. Bye.